Christian music and Disney theme songs, and hush little baby too. She eats chocolate and cheese and she drinks Sprite. Sarah Elizabeth.
What is up, you guys? It is me, SEC. Okay, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. If you are new and you like to see more of my videos, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. But today, I'm sharing a little bit of a fun fact about me, and that is the decision I have made concerning what I'm doing with my life for the next couple years. So, if you're interested in hearing about the details of the decision-making process as well as the final decision, feel free to stick around. But without further ado, let's hop into the video. Woo! Okay, so for the past couple of months, if not past couple of years, I have been struggling to decide what I'm going to do after graduation. And if you didn't know, I'm about to graduate nursing school in May, so a very, very exciting time in my life, but also a very big transition and a very big decision. So there have been many, many, many hours of prayer as well as stress and just looking over and thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, at least for this next step in my journey. So, yes, to add a little background, I'm at Shorter University, as you can see, and I've been in the nursing program for the past 2 years, and have had a very great time and very rough time and a little bit of everything all at once, which I'm sure many of you can understand. But I've met so many wonderful people, and they have been so accommodating in just letting me vent at times and be able to talk with me about what I'm going through, because they're going through it as well. So, and our journey kind of starts way at the very beginning of my life, and you're like, oh man, I just want to hear what's your decision. Well, I have a short, so you can go over there, or you can look on Facebook as well. So if you're interested in just knowing, then those are options for you. But if you're interested in the details, this one's for you. So starting off, I was diagnosed at 2.5 with ganglioneuroblastoma. And during my time in finding this out, I was under the care of Children's Hospital of Birmingham, and I had some amazing nurses and amazing doctors and just amazing care provided to me. And I proceeded to spend the next many years of my life, majority of my childhood was spent in and out of the doctor's office. So I've had plenty of incidences with nurses and providers and really just all healthcare professionals as a whole. So I knew growing up, like, I wanted to be in the healthcare field, and that's what I was going to do. And my whole time up until about 7th grade, I wanted to be a pediatrician. That was my goal. That was what I wanted to do. I was going to go to med school at UAB, and I was going to go and do this and that, and I had these big plans. And then the Lord was like, yeah, we got some other plans for you. And I was caught off guard, because the one thing I said I would never do was become a nurse. And that was just because they're the ones that are having to do the not so fun stuff of having to poke you with all the stuff. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then, the Lord just kept on opening the doors, and that's where he kept leading me. And that's how I am now at Shorter University doing the nursing program. And it has been a long time coming as far as this moment that I'm about to enter into. But in the process of it, there has been lots of give and take between me and the Lord, just of really receiving what he is calling me to. And it's an exciting time, but it's also, like I said, very nerve-wracking. So then, because of these nerves, I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to kind of wait it out until I get closer to graduation before I make any final decisions of even trying to apply anywhere to get a job. And then we go to class one day, and they're teaching us about resumes, and they say, raise your hand if you have not done your resume yet. I raised my hand, and I was the only person in the entire class that did. Come to find out later that there were other students who hadn't, but I was the only one who raised my hand. But That Sarah Elizabeth did not know that she was the only one. So I realized, oh no, I'm the only one. And I proceed to spend the next day working on my resume. And I get done with my resume and I say, okay, well, it's done. Let's might as well apply for jobs. And this was the week before spring break. So I go and I apply for all these jobs. I end up applying to like 6 different places and just I'm going at it, okay? I applied to Erlanger in Chattanooga. I applied to Redmond in Rome, Georgia. I applied to Huntsville Hospitals. I applied to UAB, and I applied to Children's of Birmingham. So I applied to a lot of places and just was like, okay, I'm going to throw it all out there and see what goes. And I have always been interested in kids. I've always been passionate about kids. I've loved getting to serve them in ministry types and just being able to learn more about the future generations that we get to have the opportunity to kind of mold and shape a little bit. And so I've always just been very passionate about kids. But pediatrics is also a very specialized field, and I knew that in the long term I want to do medical missions. And just I wanted to have the best field possible that I can go into to serve the most people. And so I was like, well, maybe I need to do some med-surg options. So I threw in a couple med-surg hospitals and I threw in a couple pediatric options. And I just said, okay, Lord, here you go. Just let me know which one sounds good. Well, of the 6 hospitals I applied for, 5 offered me interviews and I ended up with 6 job offers. I know. Kind of insane. Very insane. Let's be honest, not even kind of. It is very insane. So I spend the entirety of my spring break basically hopping back and forth to all these different interviews. I go to the UAB one was all about like, it was like a career day kind of thing. It was a job expo kind of. So I interviewed at a bunch of different people and then I applied to the one that I was interested in. A few days later I was offered a position, and then I applied to 2 different floors at Children's Hospital of Birmingham. One was an acute care floor and then another was the GI endocrine floor. And so the day or 2 after I applied, I interviewed with them. Then I got offers from both of them, and then I went back early from spring break to Rome to interview for the Redmond position. And I ended up getting 2 offers from 2 different floors over there. And then I was like, okay, all these places are wanting me to tell them by like about a week or 2. But my Erlanger option was not until 3 weeks from that point. So I was stressed out and I was like, okay, what do we do? And so I just had to wait. And in the middle of all that, I was like, I still have to give other places a decision before I can even interview at Erlanger. So if you can put yourself in my shoes, just think about how stressed I was. I felt so terrible for all the people that have had to endure the stress that I have felt recently. But I am so grateful that the Lord has placed these amazing people in my life. And if you are watching this, thank you. You know who you are. And so many tears were shed and just of how stressed I was. So I had to make a decision by the Friday before I went to my Erlanger interview. And so I met with my family at Dex and Docks, which is like a middle point for us. And so I went and I had like this whole list of pros and cons for each option. Went in detailed about like pay, location, job, like the actual details of what the job would entail, like growth opportunities, college reimbursement, like all this different stuff. Go very detailed by one. And I feel so bad for the residents eating in that restaurant because I was bawling my eyes out while trying to discern what the Lord was leading me to. Because let's be honest here, there was some very obvious options as to what I could have picked. So Redmond offered me the most money. It was in the best location as far as options because it was in Rome. It's where I have grown to love so dearly, and I've met so many people that I cherish the relationships we have together. And so that was the obvious choice, but at the same time, it was not in pediatrics, and the Lord had opened up all these doors for the pediatrics route, and I was interested the most about that. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to turn down Redmond. And then I had UAB, which was, I mean, they are so technologically advanced. They are the top tier of medical options around here. And so that was very amazing opportunity that I was even offered a position there, and I was highly honored by it. And so I was like, okay, is this what I want? And then I was like, no, because it's still med surge, and it would give me a lot of learning opportunities, but it's in Birmingham, and like I'm not comfortable with it. I was like, okay, peace out. And so then we've got the two children's positions, and the children's acute care, I had gone into the interview and I shadowed, and I was like, it doesn't feel like it's for me. The turnover rate was just really quick, and I like to be able to get to know people a little bit better. So I was like, okay. And so that left me with children's of Birmingham, endocrine, and GI floor. And I was like, okay, so here's the deal, family. This is the one we'll pick, and then we'll go to the Erlanger interview and we'll see how it goes, and if something changes, we'll change it. It'll be okay. And so then time passes, and I go to this Erlanger interview, and it was on Zoom, and I had 4 people interviewing me, and it was like a rapid fire. It was by far the most intense of all the interviews, which is saying a lot considering the quantity that I did in such a short time. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And they said, we'll let you know by Monday. And I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. Love that so much. And so I wait, and I'm like, okay, I've made this decision. I had made it the day previously, so I'm like, okay, I've made this decision. Now it's waiting on Erlanger, and I'm just going back and forth of like, okay, if they do offer me this, am I going to take it? Like, what's going to happen? So then my dad and I go on that next Monday to Chattanooga because they did offer it to me. And so now it's down to Children's of Birmingham and Children's at Erlanger. And so it's like a war between children. And so I'm like, okay, Erlanger, it's in Chattanooga. I've always wanted to live in Chattanooga. It's Children's, it's this, it's that, and it's got like all the right things. And then I go over to Children's, and I'm like, okay, it's got Children's, which I like, but it's GI endocrine, which I've always enjoyed learning about, but I'm not like super well versed in that, and Children's is already specialized, so then I'm going to go even more specialized with GI, and then it pays less, and it's in Birmingham, and so it's like it seems like it would just be like a black and white option, but for some unknown reason I was just stressing so hard about which one to pick. And so I go to Chattanooga, we look at the hospital, we look at apartment options. I'm like, okay, great. And then we go later in that week to Birmingham and do the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, fantastic. Well, I had to let Erlanger know by that Friday of what I was gonna do, of saying like yay or nay as far as what the decision was. More tears were shed. I was bawling my eyes out, and the time came around, and I was like, okay, let's see, what are we going to do? And I called my parents, and I'm like, I'm crying, and I'm torn, because there's like the obvious option, but then there's this thing with Children's that I was like, okay, I can't stop thinking about it, but it's like, it makes no sense. And I'm a very logical person. I like to understand things. I like to have the facts in front of me, and the facts are telling me one thing, and then I'm feeling another, and I'm just like split down the middle, feel like I'm being torn at both sides. And so I got off the phone with my parents, and they were like, just take a break before you make your decision, go outside, just hang out, just calm down for a second. I was like, okay. And so I was like, okay, well, what is it? And I'm just like waiting. I'm waiting for this like bright shining light to come or something, some sort of magical sign, and I'm just waiting for this big moment. But then there's still just that little tug. There's that little tug in my heart that's like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. It's like, oh, but it doesn't make sense. But nonetheless, I did what I felt like the Lord was calling me to, and so I am going to be working at Children's of Alabama. I am super duper excited. I feel like the second I made the decision, like just such a weight lifted off of me, and there have been things that have sort of confirmed it throughout the time. So whether this is the best decision or the worst decision or whatever decision, I think it is the one that I am being led to in this season of my life. And it is so exciting, but it is so nerve-wracking, and I can't wait to carry y'all along on this journey like I have all the previous ones. And yeah, so I am going to be starting in the summer sometime, not sure of the entire details, but we are currently in the prospects of looking at apartments and all the exciting, nerve-wracking things. Next up, we'll be passing the NCLEX and getting that all fleshed out and graduating and doing all that fun stuff. But yes, I have officially accepted the position at Children's of Alabama in the GI endocrine floor. I am incredibly excited to see what the Lord is going to do through this time in my life. I don't know if it will be for 2 years or if it'll be for 5, or maybe it'll be shorter or longer. I don't know. But for however long, I'm going to cherish it and learn as much as I possibly can. And yeah, I hope you guys are supportive and are excited for me as I am excited about it. And yeah, if you have any tips or advice about going into this new post-graduation season of my life, I would love for you to comment that down below. And yeah, I just want to tell y'all how grateful I am for your love and your support, and for the opportunity I get to be able to share these little moments in my life with y'all. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and if you did, then don't forget to hit the like button down below. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to leave that in the comments section down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.